What's going on, Nerd Nation? It's your boy Chris, joined by my guy Miles Davis, as always. What's going on, Miles?
Yo, what's up, Chris? Back again for another episode, man. So let's get into this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We back again, like you said, our 10th live episode now on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify later on, 8:30 Sunday nights, check us out. If you're joining us live, welcome. It's good to see you. Let's get some talk in the chat this week if we can. If there's anybody out there that has questions, disagrees with us, let's get it going. Let's see what we can do tonight. But just getting into this week, this was a huge weekend for sports. I think this is the longest our show doc has been, so we got a lot of stuff to get to. We might as well just jump right in. I do want to say, Alex, obviously, if you're a fan of the show, you're noticing he's not here with us tonight. Got some prior commitments, you know how it is, guys. So he'll be on next week, hopefully, most likely, and I'll get to talk about his Eagles to him a little bit more. But getting into this episode, we can start with the 301 League. I usually like to just give a quick update here, how we're doing.
Sure.
Do you want to go first? Because it wasn't
Yeah.
so good for my team this week.
Yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit. Yeah, so this week, like we talked about last week, Chris defeated me handily last week. It wasn't too big of a competition. My team did not play up to par, but that's all good because I think I'm gonna bounce back this week and I'm in a good position to win, playing against one of my good friend Eric. And we're always competitive. So I'm glad. I think I'm going to beat him this week. I still have Mike Evans and then the Buccaneers defense. And I believe he only has Waller from the Raiders left. So, and what is the score actually? If I could find that real quick. I'm beating him by like,
yeah,
yeah,
111 to 90.
okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think I'm in good shape.
Points. Yeah, I would say on ESPN right now, you got 94% win probability. So
I like that.
looking good. That'll make you what now? 2-2?
Yeah, I need to get back to that 500, get back in the mix because I went from third place to second place last week. So I need to get back into it. Or I mean, sorry, it's third place to second to last place. Excuse me.
Definitely. Everybody right now jockeying for position. I was kind of at the other end of the standings coming to this week. Well, not kind of. I was in first place, the only undefeated team, 3-0, but that looks like it's probably coming to an end. I'm down. I'm listening to the team Comeback Kid. It's 112 to 68 right now, so rough week for the commish. But I still got Tom Brady, still got Antonio Brown, still got Ryan Suckup, the Bucks kicker. So I mean, ESPN gave me 18% chance. I think I said that, but yeah, looking like 3-1 for me.
Still not bad though.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it at all. And then quickly, just for Alex's team, he's up currently on Team Cobra Kyler right now, 112 to 102. He's got Mike Williams tomorrow night. The guy he's playing against has Josh Jacobs tomorrow night, who I think is still questionable. So ESPN giving him 81% chance to win. I still think that one's kind of up in the air. Only 10 points. It could, a couple touchdowns for Jacobs could do it. But as of right now, Alex will be going to 2-2 if he wins that. So we're all staying competitive. This is a really competitive league, and we're gonna keep you updated. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it right now. It's only week 4, so it's not like too devastating,
Right. Yeah. Like you said, everyone's still jockeying for position, so no one's got out to too far of a lead.
Yeah, as long as you can stay about like 500, like you said.
Yep.
But yeah, we can move off that, talk about some of the guys in the NFL who had big days, our top performers of the week. We start at the quarterback position like we usually do. We got a surprise name for me at least, Daniel Jones of the New York Giants. He's the number 1 quarterback right now in fantasy, at least in my scoring format. 28 for 40 on the day, 402 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Did add on 27 rushing yards in a 27-21 overtime win over the Saints. Are you impressed with Daniel Jones?
I'm impressed with the yardage. Touchdowns, nothing to be too impressed about. And then I think he played a good game. I mean, as long as he managed the game well, come out with the W. I mean, at the end of the day, he could have threw 3 interceptions, but I think still, as long as you get the W, as long as you make the right plays at the right time, it is what it is. And hey, Cam comes out with the W in the overtime, so clutch victory for the Giants.
Definitely. I agree pretty much. I still don't think Daniel Jones is like a good NFL quarterback, but
No,
he's putting together some fantasy games. You know, if you need a spot start, quarterback gets hurt or something, hey, he could be a guy to look to.
Oh, in there, yep.
Number 2 on the week so far, a name usually on this list, Patrick Mahomes, 24 for 30, 278 yards, 5 touchdowns. He did have 1 interception, 26 rushing yards, and a 42-30 win over the Eagles today. Yeah, not much to say about Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, Eagles, they put up a good fight. I mean, they were trying to stick with him, but I mean, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, they just went off today. I mean, thank God I had Tyreek Hill on my fantasy football team, and he carried me through a week where I was looking like I wasn't going to get the victory until, he got his second touchdown, and by then he had already had 118 yards. So you can only imagine how many points that is. But yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, no surprise that he's up here. Still elite. Still got the weapons. Not surprising at all. And the completion to attempts percentage is very good, 24 for 30.
Yeah, very efficient. Eagles D, they had looked pretty good in the first few games of the season. Not so much today, but hey, it's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it's one of the most highest powered offenses. So
yeah, I can't be mad at it.
And 30 points, that should get you a win most of the time, anyways. So
definitely, that's nothing to scoff at from the Eagles offense today. But yeah, number 3 on the list right now, Sam Darnold, quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, 26 for 39, 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He did add 35 rushing yards with 2 rushing touchdowns, so 4 total touchdowns today in a 36-28 loss to Dallas. What are your thoughts right now on Darnold and the Panthers?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's looking good with the Panthers so far. I mean, I've always thought he's a pretty solid quarterback, so no surprise. But I mean, the 2 rushing touchdowns with the 2 passing, it's pretty impressive. Sucks that they couldn't come out with the victory though, so it's kind of great performance, great individual performance, I would say.
Definitely. He's another guy he's looked pretty good to start the season. Obviously, he's in a new setting, getting away from the Jets. So, hey, he's a guy. I think the jury's still out on him for sure.
100%.
But moving on to the running back position, the number 1 name is also a surprise at this position too. Don't know how many people saw this coming. I have him in a couple leagues, didn't put him in. That's Cordarrelle Patterson, right now the number 1 running back from the Atlanta Falcons. Only 6 carries, 34 yards, but 5 catches for 82 yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. They did lose the game 34-30 to our Washington football team.
Let's go. Pulled it out somehow.
Yeah, we'll talk about that game later. It was crazy, man. Had me on the edge of my seat. I thought I was going to have a heart attack like 5 or 6 different times. But Cordarrelle Patterson, man, you think he can keep this up?
I mean, he's kind of looking like one of those players that's like a Swiss Army knife. They just kind of throw him in anywhere, and he's pretty exceptional, I would say. Obviously, he had 3 receiving touchdowns out of 5 receptions, so that's extremely impressive to me. Of course, it was against the Washington football team defense, but I mean, that we'll say that for later down in the conversation. But no, it's a very impressive performance by him. I think he's making a name for himself. I don't think too many people knew about him before this year, and now he's definitely put himself on the radar with a performance like this. And he played well last week too. So
yeah, definitely. Like going into the week, I think he was a top 20 running back on the season so far. So he's definitely looked pretty good this year. Converted wide receiver, so that's probably why he has the good receiving skills. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know going into the season we all thought Mike Davis was going to be the running back for the Falcons, but right now I definitely think Cordarrelle Patterson's the guy to own in that backfield. But moving on to number 2, it was good to see this guy get back. Saquon Barkley. He's been playing all season, but this is his first real blow up game, I would say. 13 carries, 52 yards, and a touchdown. 5 catches for 74 yards and a touchdown through the air. And that win over the Saints, like we talked about with Daniel Jones. But what are your thoughts on Saquon? Do you think he's rounded in his form?
I still think he's still trying to find it, honestly, because I think just him coming in from Penn State into his rookie season, I mean, he was explosive. I mean, he was looking like he was going to be that like kind of Adrian Peterson kind of running back where he's just tough, like no weaknesses. I mean, he's agile, can jump out, he can hurdle you, he can run through you, he can catch the ball. So I mean, he was looking like that, and I think this injury might have set him back, and he's kind of been working up this whole season. I think this is his best game, but I think he can do better, man. I mean, I think he's still a special talent, so I expect more out of him, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. I think I would agree with that. Only 52 rushing yards, so
Yeah,
like you said, his explosiveness, he's always been that type of running back that any carry could be the one he takes all the way to the house. And yeah, I haven't seen the explosive jukes and moves like we've seen in the past, but I do think he's starting to, every game it seems like he's getting a little stronger. He's getting a few more touches. Excuse me. He's getting a few more touches. Only 18 touches in this one, so still think there's room for him to get the ball more too. And I think second half of the season he's going to be a star. So
yeah, 100%. Because I mean, if you just remember back to his rookie season, he was liable for just a breakout run every game for like 40, 50 yards at least. So I'm still waiting to see that.
100%, 100%. I think we will. I think we'll see it. But number 3 running back, this guy is definitely in great form. He's kept it up from last season. That's Derrick Henry, Tennessee Titans running back. 33 carries today, 157 yards and a touchdown. 2 catches for 20 yards through the air. But they did lose this game 27-24 in overtime to the New York Jets. Wild. Derrick Henry, great game, but I don't know. Just what are your thoughts on that whole situation?
Yeah, I mean, the Jets finally pulled one out. I think they went off like the Titans on a missed field goal. I think the Titans missed a field goal in the end of that one or something.
Yeah, so in overtime the Jets scored a field goal on the opening drive, so the Titans had a chance to get the ball. They drove down, used up like mostly all of the clock.
Right.
And then, they attempted a field goal and missed it, which they wouldn't have won, but they would have at least tied.
Exactly, and obviously a tie is better than a loss. But I mean, as far as Derrick Henry, I mean, honestly, looking at their stats, it almost looks like it was better than Saquon Barkley's. But I mean, I know Saquon Barkley had the receptions and the receiving yards, which probably had him at the number 2 spot. But I mean,
and the extra touchdown, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, he had 2 total touchdowns. But no, Derrick Henry still. I mean, we expect this from him. 150 yards. That's a good game. But I mean, we've seen him multiple times run for 200 yards in a single game. So
yeah,
he's close to prime form. But I mean, we know we can see more from him. So
yeah, regular day at the office for
for
big Derrick Henry. But we can move on to the wide receiver position. You mentioned him a little bit earlier. Tyreek Hill, number 1 right now. 11 catches, 186 yards, 3 touchdowns. What are your thoughts on the cheetah?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I've explained this on the podcast, but yeah, my fantasy football name is Climbing the Hill. So my whole team's kind of aura is based around this guy. So obviously he had one of those games where just went crazy. And I think he's liable to do this to any team on any given day. I mean, of course he's going to have some off days where it's not there all the way, but 11 receptions, great. 186 yards is great, and 3 TDs. I mean, I don't even know if the last one was like truly necessary, but heck, they went and just got it anyways, just to shut the Eagles out and make sure they had zero chance of any type of comeback. So,
Yeah.
and he's just a box office player. He's one of the most fun players to watch, in my opinion, in the NFL.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Sorry if I seem a little distracted. I did look over for a second, and we got to bring it up because it's happening live right now. Tom Brady just completed a pass to go ahead of Drew Brees as the all-time passing leader. This is a great moment. Drew Brees is actually in attendance on the sidelines, giving him a ovation. Just great to see. They didn't stop the game. They paused it, put stuff up on the screen and everything. But wonderful accomplishment, to say the least. Obviously, the most passing yards in NFL history. I mean, he did play till he's 44.
Right.
But, hey, that to be able to play at this level and at this age, obviously winning the Super Bowl, just another feather in the cap of Tom Brady.
I mean, how many records is this guy gonna pile on top of one after another? I mean, every year it's just something new. He's just the best.
Yeah.
It's just really not much more to say. He's just the best. I mean, he's gonna have pretty much almost every record a quarterback can have when it's all said and done. I mean, of course, there's gonna be some, but I mean, he probably owns at least close to 50% of the quarterback NFL records, at least, or is at least somewhere in there. So, I mean, shout out to Tom Brady, man. And then, like you said, I mean, just I don't even think people understand like what it takes to have your body go through that. And I don't either, but I can only imagine what it's like to play 20 years in the NFL and just be that consistently great. I mean, it's just leaves me speechless, honestly.
It really does, man. And when you just think about, like, just take a step back and look at the accomplishments, the most passing yards ever. Obviously, Drew Brees retired like coming into this season, so he's gonna hold that for a little while. Obviously, the most Super Bowls ever. He has more Super Bowls than any franchise, and he's just one player. So that's incredible in itself. Just everything he's done. He went to the Buccaneers first year, COVID year, didn't get full off season, full practice schedule, all that stuff that's important for winning games. They didn't get to do that. He still went on, won the Super Bowl. For me, I mean, look, if you've known me for a long time and you're watching or listening to this right now, you know that I was never the biggest Tom Brady fan. So I just got to give the man his credit, his praise. He went out there and did it, and nobody can take this away from him. He's the best quarterback, and he's really making a case for one of the GOATs just of all time in all the sports.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. I mean, just the fact that he's a great team player. He's shown that he can go to two different organizations, bring the winning mentality, and get it done. It's not just talked about with him. It's executed. So.
Yeah. Definitely. But yeah, all right. I guess we can get back to the top performers of the week. Number 2 at the wide receiver position. This guy's having a great year so far. Deebo Samuel from the San Francisco 49ers. 8 catches, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns in a 28-21 loss to Seahawks today. We'll talk about that game in more detail in a little bit, but what are your thoughts right now on Deebo? He's looking good.
Yeah, I mean, I even think from last year, dude's just kind of picked it back up, and 156 yards and 2 TDs. That's a huge game. Explosive. He had some big plays. I didn't get a chance to actually watch that game or see the highlights, but obviously the dude probably had at least a 50-yard play, 60-yard play here and there. So, I mean,
yeah, he got one where he got open. I think the defender slipped or something, and then he broke out it just broke down the sideline. Nobody was going to catch him.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey man, he's got to keep it up, and I think he's been doing a good job of that.
Yeah, 100%, man. He's been good. I actually did slide him in one of my lineups today, and it looks like I'm winning that league, mainly because of him. So, number 3 this week, DJ Moore from the Carolina Panthers, Maryland grad. Shout out to him for that. But 8 catches, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns in that 36-28 loss to the Cowboys. Any thoughts on DJ Moore?
Not too many thoughts. I mean, that's probably like an exceptional game from him because I don't think he's known to be that top tier of wide receivers to get a game like this. But I mean, hey, it can happen for almost any. You're in the NFL for a reason. So yeah, I mean, he just went out, had a great game today. Sucks that he took the loss though.
Yeah, I mean, and I actually we'll talk about that game a little bit more. So I'll save what I was gonna say for that. But moving on to the tight end position, we got CJ Uzomah as the number 1 tight end right now. He actually played on Thursday night for the Bengals. 5 catches, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns in a 24-21 win over the Jags. That was actually a good game. I actually ended up watching the end of that. Bengals started off awful. I thought they were going to lose to the Jaguars, but second half they came back. Uzomah was big. What are your thoughts for him?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly haven't heard about him too much, but obviously he's trying to pave his way in the NFL, and obviously with the best performance this week. So yeah, 95 yards, two touchdowns, and a win. Can't be mad at that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say this is gonna be the best game of his career.
Probably.
Like he's been in the league for like 5 or 6 years. Like,
hey, he's fine. Maybe he's figured it out finally.
Yeah. Hey, it's nothing to scoff at though. That's a great game.
Yeah, I feel like the tight end performances is gonna be completely different every single week. Single week.
Yeah, I feel like at least for fantasy wise, if you don't have one of those top options, it's like rolling the dice every week.
Yeah.
Anybody could score touchdowns, which that's pretty much what our top 3 is who got the touchdowns this week.
Mm-hmm.
And, keeping that trend going, Dawson Knox today for Buffalo Bills. 5 catches, only 37 yards, but 2 touchdowns. Makes him the number 2 tight end, as of right now. 40-0 win over the Texans today for the Bills. That's 3 straight dominant victories for them.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, like you said. I mean the touchdowns is impressive yardage, not too much, but I mean, what is going on with the I'm sorry. How are you in an NFL team and scoring 0 points? Like, I'm still just trying to figure that out. That's.
Well, this is the second time in 3 weeks that the Bills have done that to somebody. They shut the Dolphins.
The Dolphins.
Yeah, 35-0 a few weeks ago.
I mean, wow. I mean that maybe that's just more of a testament to the Bills' defense, but I mean, still,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah,
that's
not even a field goal.
That's very surprising to me that a team can't manage to get in any type of do any winning type of plays. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, 100%, and just. Especially the way kickers can kick in the NFL. They're making 50-yarders pretty easily. So you don't have to even get that far down the field to at least get some points. Yeah, that's just bad.
Yeah, I'm thinking I didn't really follow this game either, but I mean, I'm guessing their time of possession just must have been close to as little as it could have been throughout the game. Because I mean, I feel like that's the only way that they couldn't score. Like if you just don't have the ball a lot.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was watching the football team game. We played at the same time. I was flipping over to Red Zone, but obviously they weren't showing this game, so I really have no clue what happened. Yeah, but I will give this one little story real quick. When I was looking up the top quarterbacks for this week to put on the show here, I accidentally sorted, and you know how it puts the worst person at the top. Yeah. So it put Davis Mills, quarterback for the Texans, at the top there, and he had -4 points or something. So I didn't even bother to look at his stats, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it couldn't be worth it. I mean,
that's the worst. That's the worst I've ever seen. I've never seen anyone get -4. That wasn't
at the quarterback position. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Wow. you just gotta finish that game, look at yourself in the mirror, and be like, what can we do to score next game?
Yeah. Gonna be a long season for the Texans for sure.
Yeah.
But we can move on to the number 3 tight end, Allie Cox for the Indianapolis Colts. This is for the intense college basketball fans here, but I don't know if y'all remember, but Allie Cox was actually a power forward on, I believe, Baylor, I think it was. He was on one of those teams in the Big 12, I think. But, yeah, showing up today in the NFL. 3 catches, 42 yards, 2 touchdowns for him in a 27-17 win over the Dolphins. It was actually the Colts' first win of the season, so yeah, good game.
Yeah, and I've heard of this guy a little bit before, but obviously he's not most consistent tight end in the league. But yeah, shout out to him. Had a good game, caught 2 touchdowns and got the dub. So
yeah, we can move on from there though. Talk about some of the actual games that happened. Talk about some of the games of the week. I really just put some of these teams that had good records going in. We can talk about, if we think these teams are for real or not after 4 weeks. Starting with this Cowboys against Panthers. This was in Dallas. We mentioned a few times earlier, but the Cowboys won 36-28. I thought they controlled the game for most of the time. It seemed like they had a 14-point lead. It was like, when you play Madden and you get up by like 14 points and then the other team scores and then you score. And they can't stop you. So like even if they score, you're always going to be up. So that's kind of what happened in this one. Dak Prescott, efficient, 14 for 22, 188 yards, 4 touchdowns. Zeke, 143 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Trayvon Diggs, the hometown boy, shout out to him. Gaithersburg, Maryland. Yes, sir. Went to Alabama, but starting corner for the Cowboys, having an amazing season. 2 picks today.
He's caught a pick in every game this season so far.
He's got to be leading the league right now.
Oh yeah, I think with 5.
That's crazy. 5 in 4 games, like 5 for a season that's a good season.
Right.
And we're not even a quarter of the way through. So
him and his brother is something serious.
Yeah, literally, they got 2 of the top guys at their position in the NFL. That's really impressive. And I'm happy to see it. Like I said, hometown guys, both from the same county we're from. Love to see it. But just speaking on the Cowboys right now, they're 3-1. Obviously, we're Washington fans. So we hate to see that.
Hate to see it.
But just objectively, though, what are your thoughts right now on them moving forward this year?
Yeah, I mean, you got to give them their props. Honestly, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know how Prescott was going to come back into the season after his injury, but dude's been looking good. I mean, he only had 10 of his completions weren't touchdowns today. So that's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I mean, obviously he didn't have the big yardage, so obviously he wasn't throwing any bombs or his receivers or running backs weren't making like huge plays. But I mean, hey, he probably managed the game very well. Just got the job done, and that's all that matters. He didn't need to throw for 200-300 yards, but we all know he can. We've seen him throw for 400 easily. And I think a lot of people are forgetting about Zeke. Honestly, yeah. I kind of started to forget about him, honestly, and you can't sleep on this guy. I mean, he's still fairly young for a running back, and he's been one of the most consistent backs since he's been in the NFL. So, yeah, I mean, he's a great player. 143 yards and a touchdown today. That sounds pretty dominant to me. And then, like you mentioned, Trayvon Diggs, hometown guy, two picks, and I think I mentioned it, but I saw the stat where he's gotten an interception in every game, and that's extremely impressive. And if he can he's averaging over interception a game, and if he can somehow manage to keep this up,
he would break the record. That would be crazy.
Easily. But and that would just be amazing. That's an amazing feat that I feel like is really hard to that's a hard record to break. So if somehow he can keep it up.
Yeah, and if he can keep it up, and obviously I'm not expecting him to get 5 picks every 4 games, but just the defense in general, they're getting takeaways. And especially in today's NFL, these offenses are very high powered. It's really hard to stop teams from moving up and down the field, but the two things I think are most important is keeping teams out of the end zone, forcing field goals and getting takeaways. And look, if the Cowboys defense is going to get takeaways as bad as they were last year with the offense they have this year, I think that could actually be a good team. And it hurts me to say, I struggle to even get those words out just now.
Makes you want to throw up sometimes, but you got to sometimes look at it objectively, like you said.
Yeah. But we can look at the Panthers side of this real quick because they're an interesting team right now to me. They obviously lost this one. We talked about Sam Darnold earlier in the top quarterbacks of the week. We did talk about DJ Moore too, the top receivers.
Yeah. No CMC.
Yeah, and no CMC. They got outrushed by the Cowboys 245 to 113. So
Christian McCaffrey would have probably made up that difference.
Yeah, he would have made up some of that, but still the defense gotta stop from getting 245. But they are still 3-1. We talked about it last week. They kind of beat they beat some teams. I'll just say they beat some NFL teams that we don't look at as great or anything. I'm trying to be nice here, but they're 3-1. Do you think this team could actually make some noise?
No, I still think they're a pretender team. I mean, they got off to a great start, but I don't see them finishing this season with any more than 9 wins. Honestly, I don't think they'll make it to the playoffs. I don't think they're a pretender. And as for the Cowboys, like you said, I hate to say it, but if they continue this play, they're looking pretty good. And I think Dak has been a huge piece. Obviously, they didn't have him for the majority of last year, but I think he's been huge for this team. And this is what they needed back. And Cowboys are looking good. So I'm going to just leave it at that. I don't know how many wins I think they'll get. I just hope the Washington football team gets more so we can get that division win, get our spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll talk about our game in a little bit, but I'm not feeling so good.
The defense is just like not where we thought it was good. I swear, I think a lot of fans thought the defense was going to be like up there in the top 5 easily, and I don't think they're doing that this season. I mean, they're giving up quite a few points.
Yeah, I mean, look, we might as well just go to that one. We'll skip to that one. Washington football team, we won today, 34-30 in Atlanta over the Falcons.
Made it tough though.
Yeah, look, we can never make it easy on ourselves. I'll kick it to you first. Like, what are your just thoughts right now on the Washington football team?
Well, as of Heineke, I think he's doing decent. Obviously, he wasn't what we expected going into the season, but he's doing decent. He's doing all right. I'm not expecting him to go out there and just be throwing for like 3 touchdowns and like 400 yards. So I think he's doing what he can out there. But I mean, Terry McLaurin, he's been extremely impressive, man. And that one play when it got the Redskins up to 28. That whole play, like that's when I was like, Heineke's he's balling out there sometimes. Like he's making these plays. Like he got out of a tough situation. It's kind of off balance. I mean, he did kind of throw it up there, which was dangerous. I mean, he lobbed it, but the defensive backs somehow were just a little bit out of position, and McLaurin was able to just make the clutch catch and hit. And just McLaurin individually, I mean, he's a beast, man. I'm really happy that we have him on our team. He's really fun to watch, and they squeaked out the victory. Honestly, I cut the game off when they had like 2 or 3 opportunities to get the 2-point conversion, and I was like, oh my gosh, of course we still couldn't punch it in. Penalties going from both ways, so it's kind of a crazy series. But man, I'm just really glad that they pulled it out. McKissick at the clutch play, just the epic like dive in the end zone while you're getting hit. Like everyone, like I'm sure running backs like live for those plays like that where you're just like airborne, just like no, like just kind of just diving over. So that was a great way to finish the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's typical Washington football team. Start to finish, the game starts out, I think we went down 10-0.
Yeah.
Just I'm ready to lose it all. Like look, we're not going to be good this year. Then we come back, go up 13-10. We return a kick for a touchdown to start the second half. Like, there was good moments.
That play was awesome.
Yeah, like it's a roller coaster ride being a fan of this team. But look, just to touch on some of the stuff you talked about, Terry McLaurin, that pass was, oh my gosh, when it was in the air, that's one of the moments that I mentioned earlier. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I almost lost my mind, but he came up with it, and he's one of the best receivers in the league. We could have mentioned him in the top receiver segment. I think because of, had like the catches, he actually had pretty much the same exact stat line as DJ Moore. The only reason DJ Moore had more fantasy points is because he got one carry for 6 yards. So he would have been, he's right up there, top 5 receiver this week. He was incredible. Some of the plays he makes, the routes he runs. If we had a good quarterback, like a Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers type, he would be seen, I believe, as like a top 5 receiver because you can't guard him. Like, nobody can guard him one-on-one. And I'll say that. Like, I don't feel like, oh, I shouldn't say that. Like, I don't think that's a hot take.
No, it's completely valid in my opinion. I think he can go up against any team and have a great game. Like, he's that special. It doesn't matter what, like, the game plan. He's a playmaker. He's gonna, even if you're playing great defense, he's one of those players that's gonna still go out and just have better offense. So, like I said, I'm glad he's on the Washington football team, man, because I didn't even really know about him too much when he was on the team, and I'm like, oh man, like, who are our receivers, who are our running backs, and then a lot of these guys are stepping up. Gibson still making plays out there, still kind of just doing his job and just executing fairly well. So yeah, I mean, we're 500, and I just hope we can just kind of keep chipping away, just keep it.
Yeah.
And since we can't win in a clean way, just hopefully you just keep edging out these victories.
Yeah, 100%. And we got the Saints next week, so they've been real up and down. So
yeah, it's a winnable game.
Yeah, we got them at home. I think I might be going to that game actually. So
that should be fun.
Yeah, I will real quick touch on what I think the bad is right now. Why I'm not confident in this team. Like, if someone made me make a prediction where we finish, I'm not putting us in the playoffs right now. We're not that type of team, in my opinion. The defense, it's almost like unexplainable. I don't even know how to talk about it in a brief time. We only have so much time, but we were supposed to be good. They were good last year. Pretty much the same guys. Obviously, we swapped out a corner, William Jackson, for Ronald Darby, which, look, William Jackson does not look good. He's getting burnt a lot. He's getting paid pretty good money. Brought him in the offseason, so that's tough to see. I go to the defensive line. Some of the defensive linemen, Jonathan Allen, Ioannidis, Payne, I think some of these guys will look good, but Sweat and Chase Young, I haven't really even heard their names called in 4 games now. We're one of the worst defenses in the league. Gave up 30 points to the Atlanta Falcons, who, if you've been watching this year, the Atlanta Falcons are not a good football team. They don't have a good line. They can't block. Couldn't tell today, though, because Matt Ryan, 283 yards and 4 touchdowns, no picks. He had all the time in the world. He picked us apart, so I'm not confident.
Cordarrelle Patterson, yeah.
Yeah, Cordarrelle Patterson is he was just wide open on one. Another one he mossed. I think it was Kendall Fuller, another guy who's getting paid some pretty solid money, and a hometown guy who I really do root for him, and I really want him to be good. But come on, man, like the 100%. Secondary, the defense, the defensive line, the linebackers, they've all been terrible. Like, I don't really have anything positive to say about the defense so far.
Yeah, and I thought Chase Young was going to be like
Yeah.
that generational type player where it doesn't matter it doesn't matter if he's on the worst team or the best team. He's gonna be like not on Aaron Donald's level, but he's gonna wreak that kind of havoc on the line. You know what I'm saying? So
A dominant force that you.
yeah, and I see him out there. I mean, he's hustling. I mean, he looks fast out there. He looks like he's like showing the effort, but I'm like the plays just I'm not seeing him as much as I feel like I should from a player like that.
Yeah.
So
he has no sacks, no forced fumbles, no.
I mean, he's getting pressures, but I mean, dude, let's see some sacks, some batted balls. I mean, come on,
some tackles for loss in the backfield or runs or something. It's not coming together. It's just
and it's weird because you think he's in a kind of like as a DN. I mean, you kind of think he's in a position where you can't really game plan for somebody like you. You just gotta.
Yeah, I mean they can maybe chip you or something.
Yeah, double team. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, dude, you're supposed to be able to. Yeah. I mean, you got guys like Chandler Jones. He got like 5 sacks in one game. I mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It's just. We'll see. We'll see what we do against the Saints, man. It's just. I keep waiting because we have the talent, and I feel like at some point they're gonna put it together, because it's like, how could you not? It's almost at the point where if it doesn't come together, we gotta start looking to the coaching staff or something, or maybe these players are just overrated.
Maybe
we gotta see. We got a lot of questions that still need to be answered. But yeah, all right, I'm done. As you can tell, I'm getting a little heated over here, so I'm done on that. We can move on to some of the other games this week. The Cardinals are now 4-0, one of the last two 4-0 teams. They beat the Rams 37-20, pretty convincing win.
Yeah.
Obviously, coming in, the Rams were probably one of the most. I would say the most impressive team. They had just come off beating the Buccaneers. They look good. Matthew Stafford's been looking great, but the Cardinals took it to them today. What are your thoughts right now? Are they for real?
Dude, I like the Cardinals, man. I think they have playmakers, and I believe they have AJ Green, and he had a great game. So and we all know what AJ Green was before he started dealing with all of his injuries and stuff. He was easily a top 5 receiver in the NFL. And they have him and Hopkins. I mean, if AJ Green can get back to like his form that he was at when he was on the Bengals, man. And we all know how dynamic Kyler Murray is with being able to pass. I mean, he can launch it down the field accurately. I mean, he can keep the plays alive with his feet. I mean, and even Edmonds. I mean, that's a big game. He had 12 carries for 120 yards. They have a lot of dynamic pieces, and then obviously on defense, they definitely got some studs. So I think they could be for real, man. I don't want to say like maybe like they have a chance to win the Super Bowl, but I think they're gonna make some noise. And we all know it's the NFL. We seen the Giants win the Super Bowl going 8-8. So
once you get in the dance.
Yeah. I think as long as they can get themselves in a playoff position, they're going to be one of those teams that you're probably not going to want to run into early in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, you were talking about Kyler Murray last week and how he might actually be a better version of Russell Wilson. And like I said last week, I'm not ready to just jump out there and say that he's better than him. But the way he can throw the ball and the way he can run, he's shifty, man. I really do think he's a better runner. I think he's a lot quicker than Russell Wilson. I think he's one of the best runners in the league. If it wasn't for Lamar Jackson, I probably would say he's the best runner. But even in this game, he only had 39 rushing yards. He doesn't have to beat you like that. He can beat you from the pocket. He can beat you throwing the ball. He's incredible, man. I think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league moving forward.
He's very dynamic. He's one of those like box office kind of players. You just like, even if you're not a fan of the team, I'll watch the game because of him. So
definitely. And just from the Rams side, real quick, obviously they beat the Bucs last week, but this week they lose to the Cardinals. What are your thoughts? You still think they're for real?
Yeah, I mean, It's hard. It's hard for any team to go undefeated in the NFL. This is not a bad team that they lost to, so I don't think it's really anything to worry about. I think they can beat this team. Cardinals are just better today. It is what it is. Maybe they meet in the playoffs. Who knows? But yeah. I mean, I still think that they can win the Super Bowl. I think they can get there. I still don't think they're the best team in the NFL currently, but I think they can get there. Not worried about this loss. They lost to a good team, so.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too, for sure. And we can talk about the two other teams in this division. It was an NFC West battle today. All the teams played each other. We had the Seahawks beating the 49ers 28-21. This drops both teams to 2-2. But the big news, Jimmy Garoppolo for the 49ers left at halftime. I guess he got hurt in the first half. Like, he hurt his calf. Tried to keep going for a couple more drives, but at halftime he told the coaches he couldn't push off. He couldn't go. So we know they drafted Trey Lance with the third pick in the draft. He came in. I didn't think he looked too bad. 9 for 18, 157, 2 touchdowns, 7 rushes for 41 yards on the ground, which I think that's where he's going to make defenses just pull their hair out, trying to figure out how to stop him, because I think he's an elite runner, like some of the guys we mentioned earlier, but it wasn't enough. Obviously they lost 28-21, but did you catch Trey Lance at all? What do you think?
Wasn't able to catch him either, but I mean, just based off looking at his stats, that's pretty solid stats for a half. So
yeah, he
might be the real deal. I just think he needs to keep getting the opportunity, keep getting the reps in, because, I mean, we'll never know unless he's actually out there playing. And I know the 49ers, they definitely have their confidence in Jimmy G. They went to the Super Bowl with him. So I think he's still going to be there once he gets healthy. But I don't know. It's like at what point do you look over at Trey Lance and just be like, maybe Jimmy Garoppolo can't carry us to the promised land. Maybe he's just not the guy. And we got a younger guy. He could be more dynamic just based on his running ability. So we'll see. I mean, I still think the 49ers are one of those teams that are still going to be really solid. They have good defense. So, but the Seahawks are good too. Can't ignore Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, and what they're doing over there. DK Metcalf had a solid game. He seems to be finding the end zone a lot, which is really good. I mean, I feel like he's kind of doing what I thought like Julio. Like, I feel like he gets in the end zone like more than like Julio done like at the same point when they're at the same point in their career, but not as good as Julio. But I don't know. Getting in the end zone is the most important thing in my opinion. So he seems to be doing that each week in and week out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think Julio was great, like you said, but there was always
Julio has way better hands.
Yeah, there was always that like, oh, he's only going to score like 3 or 4 touchdowns on the season.
Yeah.
And I just never understood that. It like even the
like
slot receivers and stuff, they're scoring more touchdowns than that. So like, if you can get open all across the field and make incredible catches, I don't know. Maybe they just weren't using him that way. Like,
but I'm
just
like
throwing to other people in the red zone. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, but I'm like, at some point, it's like his run after catch is just wasn't like certain like Odell Beckham. Like his run after catch, and he has 4.35 40 speed. So you think he would be able,
that's the thing. He's always like up there and like run after catch yards, but he never takes it to the house. I don't know.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me. But it's just like based on like I made the comparison to DK Metcalf just because of like their physique and just freak of natures. But yeah, I just feel like DK Metcalf, he gets in the end zone. He might just be one of those players that has his nose for the end zone. You know how some players that's just where they 100%. Operate at. Yeah, so Seahawks, you can never overlook them. They're always going to be like that tough, gritty team because they've been there, had the Super Bowl experience. So
yeah, I agree with that. I mean, they're only 2-2 right now. They're in a tough division. We mentioned the Cardinals are 4-0, the Rams 3-1, Seahawks and 49ers both 2-2. I think it's still going to be a fight. The Seahawks are still going to be in it. never count out Russell Wilson.
Right.
So he's probably the best quarterback in the division, at least right now. I mean, unless Kyler Murray's really that dude.
Yeah.
But hey, we'll see. I think we'll be talking about that division a lot moving forward. But moving on to the Ravens and Broncos. This was a big game. You know, the Broncos were 3-0 coming in. Ravens 2-1. Ravens beat them pretty decisively, 23-7. Excuse me. Lamar was pretty good, 22 for 37, 316 yards though, a touchdown. Only 28 rushing yards, so I think that's good from the Broncos defense perspective. But yeah, what are your thoughts right now on? Let's start with the Broncos. Let's go with the Broncos side of it since they're kind of surprising.
Yeah, so like the Broncos, I feel like they've kind of been that team. They don't really have too many star players, you know, but they're somehow finding a way to win games, and that's obviously the most important part.
I mean, they did play 3 teams that haven't won a game yet.
But. Hey, man, it is. Hey, all you got to do is play who's in front of you, man. But anyways, I think. Well, I think the Broncos. I think they played. I mean, they didn't play well this game. Obviously, they only scored 7 points.
I think the defense was all right.
Yeah, I think defense was good. Lamar Jackson didn't have that many touchdowns, which usually dude got at least like 2 total touchdowns, like at a minimum. They limited him to 1 touchdown, but I mean, he still was throwing for big yardage, decent completion percentage, and Marquise Brown, good game. I think he's one of those very streaky players where it's just like either he's really good or he's just not gonna show up or go for like 2 receptions for like 40 yards or something like that.
Yeah, he dropped like 3 wide open touchdowns last week.
Yeah, and the commentators definitely brought that up in the game too. So but hey, it is what it is. I mean, they're 3-1, same as the Broncos. Man, this Teddy Bridgewater, dude's going through it with these concussions, man, and all these head injuries. I actually was just randomly watching. I forgot who it was, but they did a late hit on him, and he got completely knocked out. And I was just like, man. And then now this concussions happen, and it's like this dude just can't catch a break with the head injuries, man. And we obviously know how detrimental it's your head. I mean, we know how detrimental that can be.
100%.
So it's tough for him, man. He was a good player, man. I remember him on the Vikings. He was actually like really good. He was like really good player.
I thought he was gonna get a big contract. He was looking good.
Yeah, 100%. But Drew Lock, I mean, I know he's been the starter for them. Didn't really have.
I think Drew Lock is awful. I just said like, I try to be nice a lot of the time, but like he can't really run that well. His passing is Drew Lock passing. Like he was 12 for 21, 113 yards and an interception, no touchdowns.
I mean it's it wasn't even worth mentioning his stats.
I just brought it up to say that he's bad. Just so, like I'm not just getting on him for no reason. Like he's actually like just not a good NFL quarterback.
Yeah, and I like how you mentioned on our doc about the Ravens keeping their 100-yard rushing record. Lamar Jackson, the very last play of the game, just like had to solidify, keep the streak going. Got like actually like 2 yards, I think it was extra 2 or 4 yards to keep the record alive.
Just to go over 100.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at people trying to keep their streaks up because I hate seeing players or teams get so close, but they just stop just because it's the respectful thing to do. I mean, shoot. This is pro sports, man. Right. I don't care. This is for your legacy. This is what people are gonna remember. I'm all for going for if you like for even basketball for the triple doubles. If you need that last assist, I don't mind you being out there just
assist hunting,
just enforcing it to your teammates for the last one.
Shoot that.
Like you get mad at people for not shooting the ball, but I'm not mad at that. So that's pretty cool to see that they were able to keep that going.
Yeah, 100%. I thought that was cool. I like it, man. Some people might be mad, but If you don't
I'm
like
not
it,
mad.
stop it. They could have stopped that last play.
Yeah.
Nobody
100%.
told them to let that happen. So
Right.
yeah. All right, we can move on though. Looks like we're gonna go over the time here, but like I said, we got a lot to get to. We'll try to be quick with some of this stuff. The Packers beat the Steelers 27-17. Steelers dropped to 1-3. I kind of want to just focus on them for a second. Do you think this is going to be a down year for the Steelers?
I do. I mean, this could be. I mean, I don't want to go that far. I was gonna say because I mean they still have a great coach, Mike Tomlin, one of the best NFL coaches. So I'm not gonna say that. And if they have him, I think they're always gonna have a chance to be a solid team. And they start out bad this season. They might be able to get it together by the end of the season. I mean, they still have a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He knows what it takes to get it done, and obviously a Super Bowl winning coach. They've been there. They've been in tough situations. But Steelers are just not looking good this season at all. I just feel like they're just not executing as well as they used to. But shout out to the Packers, I guess. They played a good game. Aaron Rodgers played decently. So
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for the Packers, at least 3-1. Lost that first game to Saints. It looked really bad, but they look all right. I knew we shouldn't overreact to week 1. It's hard not to do, when you haven't seen sports for so long, or we haven't seen football at least for so long, and then you see one game and you think, oh man, like the Packers might be in trouble. They're not in trouble. They're gonna be all right. Even Randall Cobb had a couple touchdowns in this one, so shout out to him. They brought him back at the request of Aaron Rodgers. So like, my man's employing some people. He's getting people jobs. I can never hate on that.
yeah, never.
But yeah, as far as the Steelers go, I think it's gonna be tough. They're in a tough division. The Browns are good. The Ravens are good. The Bengals, the jury's out on them. They're 3-1 right now.
They're
So
surprisingly playing well.
yeah, like they don't look as awful as they were. At least we can definitely say that. So I think right now the Steelers are competing with the Bengals for that third spot in the division. And Bengals are 2 games ahead of them on that. So it's going to be rough. Big Ben, I think it's time to hang him up. I thought it was last year, but I was kind of holding out hope that, he's still coming off the elbow injury, thinking, maybe another year off season, he could recover, maybe be all right. He doesn't have to be the best quarterback in the world, but he could be decent. They got a good defense. They got weapons. Drafted him a running back, but yeah, it's not looking good. Their offensive line is not good. That's the other thing that's really holding them back.
I mean, I'm not even gonna lie, man. The last couple of years, I've heard almost nothing about Ben Roethlisberger.
It's over. Like, I watch one of their games, or like go back and just watch some of the highlights. Like, he doesn't look good, man. It's tough. I'll leave it at that because Big Ben was one of my guys. I used to like Big Ben a lot, but
Yeah.
it doesn't look good. But yeah, moving on. We can just read off some of these final scores here. If anything sticks out to you, definitely stop me. The Chiefs beat the Eagles today, 42-30. The Bills beat the Texans 40-0.
Alex would be bitter about that Eagles loss. Sorry to cut you off.
No. Yeah, definitely cut me off. The Eagles. Yeah. Just, what are your thoughts? What do you want to tell Alex right now? Hopefully he's watching. Should be watching. Get us some views at least. Turn us on. But
hey, Alex.
yeah,
man, Alex, if you're watching, sucks that y'all couldn't. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't expect y'all to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, y'all they were putting up some points, but obviously you can't do enough to stop the Chiefs. Obviously, we talked about Tyreek Hill earlier in this episode, so he pretty much outscored the Eagles by himself. He man did the work of like 3 people. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just glad they lost them being in the Washington football team's division. So I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, it was expected, like you said. I will say though, 30 points from the offense. It's
Yeah.
a good sign.
not bad at all.
I'll give y'all a little credit. But yeah, I don't know if I said this one. Bills beat the Texans 40-0. We talked about that earlier. Bears beat the Lions 24-14. Justin Fields' first win. The Colts beat the Dolphins 27-17 for the Colts' first win of the season. The Browns beat the Vikings 14-7. Low scoring game there.
Yeah.
Actually, we could stop on this one real quick. I want to ask you about the Vikings 1-3. Now I know they probably didn't have like the highest expectations coming in, but what are your thoughts so far on them?
Yeah, I mean, I always kind of I have Kirk Cousins on one of my fantasy teams, and I haven't started him, but every time I see his stats, I mean, they're looking pretty solid, except for really today. And obviously Dalvin Cook, I think a lot of people expected him to be one of the premier. I mean, he still is one of the top running backs in the NFL, but didn't have a Dalvin Cook kind of game. Yeah. I mean, I'm not feeling too good about them. I think they had a nice window in the past where they were actually a really solid team and could possibly make some noise in the playoffs. But just moving forward and based off what I've seen this season, I'm not feeling too good about them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think in the past they had a really solid defense, which, look, today they only gave up 14 points to the Browns, so this is definitely not on the defense. I'm not putting that on them, but
right.
Leading up to this game, the defense hasn't been that great. So I will say that. I just think this team isn't as good as in years past. Obviously, when you have Kirk Cousins at the quarterback position, you got to have a dynamite team around him that is just, stopping people. You got to have good weapons for him because he's not a Tom Brady. He's not a Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, one of these type of quarterbacks.
But to be fair, he does have some decent weapons. I mean, in Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. So, I mean, and they've both played pretty decently this season.
That is true.
They're just not getting wins, I guess. They're getting stats, but
yeah. I mean, look, 7 points that's not gonna cut at any level. Like,
no sir,
not at any level. Even in Pee Wee football, we get more than 7 points, and they run every play. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. They, like you said, they have weapons. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, these are two very good NFL receivers. Even KJ Osborne, he's looked pretty solid. Yeah. Some of these weeks. Like, we all know Dalvin Cook, he's definitely one of the top, 5 running backs in the league. So, yeah, they have weapons. Like I said, I just don't think the defense is very good. I also don't think the offensive line is that great.
Right.
And usually, I don't know how true that is, but when teams have a lot of weapons and then they're just not producing, I just immediately look and think the offensive line probably just isn't doing anything because
I mean that's a valid.
Dalvin Cook should be able to run.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, but moving off of the Vikings, we got the Giants getting their first win today. They beat the Saints 27-21 in overtime. And also the other New York team, the Jets, getting their first win today, also in overtime, beating the Titans 27-24. So
they're barely squeaking these victories out.
Shout out New York. It was a good Sunday in New York at least.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know the fans are happy for that dub.
Yeah, the fans up there, good fans, man. It's a tough place to play, tough media, but
yeah, passionate
people for sure. But I guess that really brings us to the end of our NFL talk. Didn't expect for this to take that long in the NFL, but we got to go on. We all know how the NFL is, man. It's a lot going on. It's only one day of the week, pretty much. I mean, obviously there's Thursday night football and Monday night football, but it's all happening today. We're just reacting to it, and hey, hopefully you're enjoying it. But we can move on. I wanted to just touch on some of these results here, just from some other sports. College football. These all happened yesterday, Saturday. Georgia, number 2 in the country, beat Arkansas 37-0. That they're lining up for a big game with Alabama at some point here. This one surprising to me, but they were ranked up there. So number 7 Cincinnati beat number 9 Notre Dame 24-13. Cincinnati might be for real. I always root for these teams, the teams that aren't in the big conferences and whatever. I always root for them to make it into the playoff just so we can see it. I want to see, can they compete with the top programs? Yeah. So the number 7, they beat Notre Dame. They proved that they can at least beat somebody that's good.
In the top 10, yeah, no, that's respectable.
Yeah,
hopefully beat someone ranked in the top 10.
I want to see it, man. I want to see Cincinnati in there. I'm officially a Bearcats fan for the rest of the season. Until they lose, then I'm off the bandwagon. That's how it works. That's how it works in college football. But number 1, Alabama, we can always expect this. They beat Ole Miss, who was number 12, 42-21. Alabama, greatness. But getting into the upset portion of the college football Saturday, Stanford upset number 3 Oregon 31-24 in overtime. Huge win for them. Shocking for Oregon. They beat Ohio State a few weeks ago. Great win for the program. I thought this might be a good year for them. Maybe compete, maybe go to the playoff, but tough loss.
Yeah. Wow.
Also, Kentucky upset number 10 Florida 20-13.
Wow. Kentucky winning a game like that in football?
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's the basketball school from just recent history. So, yeah, that's impressive, man, because I've never heard of Kentucky doing anything great in college football. So,
yeah, I mean, they weren't terrible last year. I think at some point they had gotten ranked in the top 25 and then immediately lost and then we're back out. But they were like decent,
Yeah, okay, no, that's fair. That's fair because usually they're just one of those like lower tier teams and
all the money goes to the basketball program.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, staying in the SEC here, Mississippi State upset number 15 Texas A&M 26-22. I thought that was surprising. Mississippi State really hadn't looked good going up to that point, so I think Texas A&M is just they're frauds. But moving on, number 19 Oklahoma State beat number 21 Baylor 24-14, so a good win for the Cowboys in that one. Yep. Those are Cowboys that I actually am okay with. So
yeah, you've always been like an Oklahoma State fan.
Low key, I had some family out there. That was when I was in high school. It was one of the colleges I visited just because I was there for like a month, and I was like, what can I do out in Oklahoma? I was like, let's go to the college. But 100%. I loved it, man. It was a cool place. They got good atmosphere out in Stillwater, Oklahoma. If you're ever in the area, go to Eskimo Joe's. But yeah, moving on. Arizona State upset number 20 UCLA 42-23. Quick side note there. That's actually Herm Edwards, former NFL coach in Arizona State, beating former NFL coach Chip Kelly with UCLA. So wow. that was a fun one. And then Hawaii, definitely not known for their football program. Upset number 18 Fresno State, who, I mean, they were ranked 18, but it
wasn't for real.
It's Fresno State. I didn't expect much from them. So yeah, that was the main stuff that happened in college football this season. I did want to start mentioning that a little bit more on here because big college football fan. I've been trying to watch. Usually I had to work on Saturday, so I just check these box scores, check some highlights, but I can't wait for that Alabama-Georgia. That's the game. But yeah, moving off college football, try to cover all of this before we get out of here. Today was actually the last day of the MLB regular season. I know we don't really talk about baseball too much on this podcast, but hey, big stuff's happening. Got the Red Sox and Yankees in the news. They both won their games today to clinch the wild card spots. They're going to play against each other. I can't remember if that's Wednesday or Thursday, but they'll be playing against each other soon. There was a chance for a 4-way tie, so I kind of wanted to see that just because I love seeing chaos. But yeah, they clinched it. Blue Jays and Mariners missed out on the playoffs. The Blue Jays won, so just tough luck for them. But Mariners didn't even do what they needed to do to have a chance. They lost to the Angels. So yeah, that's baseball. On the other side, the Giants beat the Padres 11-4 to clinch the NL West and the best record in baseball. The Dodgers, who are in their division, and we all know the Dodgers are a dominant team. They ended with one less win, so they're actually in the wild card. So we'll see. They got a game one of these days this week. I'm not 100% sure what day they play, but the Dodgers got a one game, and they could be out even after having the second best record in the league. So interesting stuff there. Keep an eye on it. But we can move on to basketball. One of our favorite sports, if you're new to the podcast. And hey, if you made it this far, we really appreciate it. We're over an hour here. So just quick anecdote. You guys know, anybody's made it this far probably knows. Me and Miles, big basketball players back in our day. Yeah, a few accomplishments from high school, but nothing noteworthy to bring up on the podcast here. So I just wanted to quickly mention that the NBA preseason also started today, which I'm hype. NBA season is always great, especially once we get to playoffs, but the Lakers lost to the Nets 123-97. No real news there except for AD actually did play. He was the only real star player that played. Only played 11 minutes, but I thought it was a really good sign because obviously he was injured at the end of last season, so it looks like he's going to be ready to go to start the year.
Yeah, it looked like he bulked up a little bit. He got a couple buckets early and then got on out of there. So, yeah, like you said, it's looking like a good sign. And honestly, I was really just specifically looking at the Lakers. I was looking at how their bench layout is going to look because I think they may not have as much talent as the Nets, which I think are going to be their real competitors throughout the season. But their bench is deep, man. I was watching Malik Monk play. He was looking pretty good out there. I mean, I think once he kind of like is running with a good second unit, and I just think a lot of these players are good enough to be like do their role at a high level while they're playing with LeBron or while they're playing with Russell Westbrook, who are extremely good playmakers. So I'm gonna really be paying attention to the Lakers bench. I mean, I kind of can know what their big three is gonna do. I mean, they're just gonna do what they do. Maybe their numbers take a little bit of a dip because they have to sacrifice, but hey, I think the bench was impressive. I'm trying to remember some. Talen Horton-Tucker. He was actually the first. I didn't even realize the preseason started today, and I was just scrolling through Instagram and just seeing him with a nasty dunk, and I was like, oh wow, the NBA preseason is back already. I think he's going to be one of those players that's going to take a big leap. I know they got Kent Bazemore, picked up DeAndre Jordan. He had a nice lob in the game. So I mean, we'll see how these players play out. I mean, I know a lot of their talk is they're old, which they definitely are. Like some of these dudes have been in the league for so long, like since I've been like very young. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting season. As for the Nets, I mean, obviously the Nets bench looked pretty good too. I don't really know too many players on their bench, but it was looking pretty fun. Obviously, they look good. Scored 123 points, so doesn't really mean much, but just kind of gauge on how the bench is going to look. And I guess players are still trying to make the final roster. Saw Mac McClung out there. I don't know if a lot of you. Yeah, it was like a kind of like a hoop. It was like a hoop mixtape kind of sensation in high school. I mean, he was ridiculous.
From VA, he was kind of close to here, almost hometown.
Go watch that man's high school highlight tape because he was something serious back in high school, and he was very fun player to watch. But he was out there getting some run. I don't know. He looked a little antsy out there. It didn't look like he was ready for the speed of the game, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, he might be a G leaguer, but
Yeah.
hey, good for him though. Hopefully, he can get a spot, man. I will say one thing I did want to mention, and I know we'll talk about it more as the season approaches here, but the Nets could face a real problem, and some other teams too. Mainly the teams that play in New York and teams that play, well, the Golden State Warriors.
In California.
Yeah, with the whole COVID mandates and some arenas aren't allowing people that aren't vaccinated, to play. So we'll have to talk. We'll talk about that. I know it's so much to get into, so we'll save that a little bit for the next one. But I do want to bring that up as just a caveat that, hey, if Kyrie Irving can't play at home games, they can't be the favorite. They're gonna be in some trouble. Like that's a big deal.
Yeah. I think we should get into that next episode because that could be like a whole little segment we could talk about.
100%. But yeah, the last thing, wanted to touch on before we get out of here, the WNBA playoffs. There's some good basketball happening right now. Starting the Eastern Conference, this was definitely the better game today. Eastern Conference Finals, Chicago Sky beat the Connecticut Sun 86-83, Game 3 to go up 2-1. The Sun were actually the better seed. The Sky were actually like around 500 team, so
wow,
they're looking pretty good, led by Kalia Copper. I was going to say Cooper, but Kalia Copper, 26 points, 9 for 14, 3 from 6 from 3. Hey.
I like those numbers. That looks good to me.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up WNBA a little bit too, because, they don't get any shine, any recognition. But hey, sports happen. These ladies are balling. I've been watching some games recently. Like, it's a lot better than when we were kids, The quality of competition is a lot higher. But yeah, the other game, Western Conference Finals on the other side, Phoenix Mercury beat the Las Vegas Aces 87-60. Blew them out to go up 2-1 in that one. Led by Brianna Turner, 23 points, 17 rebounds, 2 blocks, 9 for 14 for her. And then Brittany Griner, who we all know, 18 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, 9 for 18.
She's a OG of the game, OG of the women's game, man. I remember her back in college. I think she went to Baylor. She went to Baylor. Yeah, she went to a top. Yeah, she's definitely OG. And I don't know if you know, is Diana Taurasi? She's still playing, isn't she?
I was gonna say, I think she's still on the Mercury, right? If I'm not.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I looked it up. Yeah, she's on here. 9.6 assists, 4 rebounds today.
Yeah, she's definitely on the back end of her career, but she's always been. If I didn't know anyone in the WNBA, I knew who Diana Taurasi was. She's been one of the best.
She was my favorite player when she was at UConn, and then.
Yeah, she's one of the
she's been great
women hoopers ever. So.
And then just one more mention on the legends here that are playing. Candace Parker actually plays for the Chicago Sky. And, big in their win today, 10 points, 10 rebounds, a few assists, steals, blocks. She was good. So it's good to see her still doing it. She was another one that was superstar in the women's game. But yeah, look, if you made it this far, man, you made it past baseball, women's basketball. We got to a lot here, so we really appreciate that. True sports nerd like us. If you want more content like this, follow us on Instagram at AVG Sports Nerds or TikTok, same name, AVG Sports Nerds. We got stuff going up. Those are good ways to interact with us, talk sports, give your take. If you had a good take, we'll definitely share it on the show. We want to get more feedback from the fans out there. So if you're listening, hey, we appreciate it, and let us know. Let us know what you think.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And as always, If you're watching with us live, have a good night. If you're on Spotify at some other time, have a good day, morning, whenever you listen to it. And just keep nerding it up. Word.